Welcome everybody to Design by Peck. Here is my video on fixing my snow thrower that wasn't starting at the beginning of the season. So I have a relatively new snow thrower. I've never owned one before. I didn't summarize it, or I didn't prepare it for summer the way I should have last winter. And so when this winter was done, I just stored it in my garage. I did not empty out the gas, which is a huge issue. And so one thing I came to realize when I went to go start it in the fall is it wouldn't start. I looked into it. It seems like gas goes bad in the warm weather. So you either could use stabilizer for the gas, but if no stabilizer, then you should definitely run the snow thrower until all the gas runs out, which is the easiest thing to do, I think. And that's what I'm going to do this spring. I've got a couple of watch out for or things to be careful of when you're trying to repair and take apart the carburetor of the snow thrower. Things that I ran into that I think you should be careful of if you're new to doing something like this, like I was. First of all, there's a gasket on the inside and the outside of the carburetor, and they're not the same. Like, I thought they were the same. I actually lost one. Don't ask me how, but I did. And you'll see it in the video. And so when I ordered a new one, I ordered the equivalent of the one that I already had, which was the inside one, not realizing that the outside gasket to the carburetor was different. And so it didn't work for me. I had to order it again online with the correct gasket. Another thing is, when you're cleaning the carburetor, I use the carb cleaner like Gum Out, which is fine for home use and easy to get, easy to buy. One thing that I've seen around is that you're supposed to use like compressed air to kind of wash, like clean it off with compressed air. And what I've seen is people using these big compressed air tanks, and I don't have one. So I used a can of compressed air. The thing that I needed to be careful of is if you use too much of that, you get like condensation, I think. So I did short little bursts of compressed air to try to clean off the carburetor. But before you clean off the carburetor, if you do that, remove the O-ring. I did not remove the O-ring. It looked like the O-ring it seemed to like shrink a tiny bit. So it was hard to reinstall the O-ring. So next time if I do something like this, if the carburetor's already apart, remove the O-ring, clean it, and then put the O-ring back when you reassemble it. The other thing is when you're actually taking off the carburetor, there is still a little bit, even though the gas was emptied out, and I have that in the video, there's still a tiny bit of gas in the carburetor. Of course there is, and so some of it's, fell onto the rag that are on the ground. But just be careful of that. And the last thing, and this is just for people that have a Craftsman. I don't know if it's all Craftsman, but I think that other companies make Craftsmans, and so my Craftsman was actually made by MTD. I don't know, and I don't think MTD makes all the Craftsman, but my model, the 24-inch Craftsman, is made by MTD. So that was actually one of the difficulties when I had to reorder a new gasket. I finally figured out to go to the MTD website and get the part for the MTD that fit onto my snow thrower. So with all that, here's the video, and I will talk to you at the end. Thanks. Bye. Hey buddy, so I'm pulling out my snowblower for the first time this year, and wanted to get it started, and it's not starting up. It is turning over. This is a Craftsman 24-inch snowblower, snow thrower. Forget the exact model number, but it's the 24-inch. It's just a couple years old, and it's turning over. It's got an electric start, but it's not starting. So it's got fuel in there. But my mistake, the fuel was from last year, so I think it's gone bad. But I'm going to show you in this video how to drain the fuel, check the carburetor, and if necessary, I'll go clean the carburetor. So here we go. I'm going to take off the front. There's two bolts there. One there, all 10 millimeter. So now on the primer here, there's a slot right in here that this has to like be lined up with. You won't be able to see it from the camera without me moving the camera, but let's get this right there. You can feel a little groove inside there. I've already taken the key out. I'll put this with this. There we go. Now we're gonna pull it out and up. And there's gonna be some wires or cords here. There we go. Turn it up. There's some wires here. Just remember where they pop back into. I'm gonna, from this side, I'm gonna take it. There's just two wires here. Just gonna pop them off. They're a little clamp. There's one. There's two. There's off. I'll show you here. There's two wires there. There's a clamp there and a clamp there. So just remember which one goes to which. Okay. And now I'm gonna pop that off with the carburetor using the 10 mils again. And the reason why I'm going to take the carburetor off too, even though maybe it's just the fuel, is that it's surging as well. And surging is usually an indication of a dirty carburetor. So even if I change the fuel and it works, it's likely going to still surge. So now it's from last winter, I noticed that. I'm going to try and clean this out the best I can. So there we go. Got a little stuck there. So now I'm going to take the fuel line off and let it drain into this bucket here. This is just like a little squeeze clamp that you just got to squeeze to unclamp it. And pretty. There we go. Got that out of the way. It will probably be hard to get off. I want to clamp this hose a little bit so, well, not too much fuel comes out, or none if I'm lucky, but so now let's try and squeeze this off. Here we go. All right, I'm inside now because it's getting a little cold out. I mean, dark out, sorry. But remember I told you when you took this cover off, you had to line up with the groove? There's the groove that I wanted you to line up. This right here, line that up with that, and that's going to allow you to pop the cover off. So now we're going to take the carburetor off. To do that, we're going to take off this hose right here. Let's see if we get this in focus. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. Take that hose off right there. And then we're going to take off these two clips right here. There's a couple there. You got to be careful. It's a little dark, but there's one that you can see, and then there's one right here that's a little darker in color that you're going to just take off. And then we're going to pop this off. Let's see if I can get a good angle on the camera so when I go do this you can see. To do the rest, we're just going to pull the primer hose right off here. It should just come off on its own. Mine seems to be a little bit stuck, so I'm going to use a little bit of help here so I don't rip it. It's right there. There you go, it's off. All right. And then there's just two clips right here. There's a spring one, which I'm going to undo. It's really easy to move. I find this easier using a screwdriver here to do this. Here we go. That one's off. All right. And then this one right here, just gonna move it, and then just slides right out. And those just stay right there. And then some of these models, this might get in the way. I don't think this one has that problem, so this is just gonna come off. And there it is. So, and on a check how dirty this is. So let's take this off next. Alright, I hope everybody can see. I've taken the carburetor off, and I am going to spray it down with carburetor cleaner first. Gum out carburetor choke cleaner. And then I'm going to spray it with some air. I know a lot of people online use an air compressor. I don't have one. This isn't just pure air, so I'm going to be careful spraying it in short little bursts, just to try and get some of the this cleaned off of the carburetor. Alright, so I'm going to grab my socket and take this off. Here we go. I'm not sure. So remember the side that this is on. So I always want to put it back on the same side that it came off of. So just remember what side, use this as reference or this as a reference when you take it off. All right. Here's the pin. Just take this pin out right here. It just slides out. There it is. Be careful not to lose it. Then the float comes off. The float has a little thing on it, spring loaded, that can just pull back on. When I did this earlier, I took this off. When I went to go put it back on, I bent the spring, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So just be careful when you put it back on. Remember how it came off. You just hold the spring down with one finger and hold, the part with the rest of your fingers, and then just pop it into place right there. It just comes out like that. There we go. It's out. And there's the spring right here. So just be careful with the spring. It's really small, and you don't want to lose it and have to replace it. I bent mine, so I had to replace it for that. So don't lose this. So I'm going to clean this off with some of this cleaner right here. All right, before I go ahead and clean this, I'm going to unscrew that right in there with a flathead screwdriver. Here we go. Get one that's small enough to fit through down in here. Down through inside there. Might be a little hard to see. And might be tight for some of you if there's a lot of buildup in there. Mine's not tight at all, really. But I just want to get this out. There we go. Both came out pretty easily. So one thing to check on these, if there's buildup, if it's an older engine and you're gonna have a lot more buildup, you got to make sure that this is clog free. This one right here, you should be able to see right through it, and I do. You won't be able to see it super tiny, but make sure you can see right through, and also make sure that these jets are clean. There's a little bit of buildup. I'm gonna spray it a little bit to try and clean it off a little bit. I know it's hard to see there. So I am going to spray it with a little bit of cleaner, then blow it off, put it back, and then hopefully the surging stops, and then hopefully with the new gasoline it's just going to start just fine. Alright. One more thing to take out is this right here, because if there's this clogged with here, you can get some surging, so you're going to take this, unscrew this first. It just comes out really easily. Hopefully you can see it. That's out, and then with this, you're just going to take your flathead screwdriver and kind of pull it up on each side, and then this just comes right out like that. So this should be clear. There's a hole right there. Make sure it is clear from any debris. So, like I said, this is clogged, and when this is clogged, it can cause a lot of surging. So I am going to hopefully use this carb cleaner to get that cleaned out. I might need something small to kind of slide through to see if I can get it, if it doesn't come undone itself, by itself. So here we go. I'm going to just get these sprayed on. Worry about this one here. All right, let those soak for a little bit. All right, so let's spray some of this. Get that working on that side. The other side here. Down. There we go. Getting all the parts cleaned up a little bit. I'll do this a little bit, even though this one doesn't look too bad anyways, but I'll also get some of it going here. And that door looks clean. I'm not gonna, well, looks clean, but you know what? Won't hurt to put it on anyways. And then let's let it sit, and then I'm gonna come back in 30 minutes. Alright, so I let this soak enough. I believe I'm gonna put this, reassemble this back together. I'm gonna blow it off with some compressed air though to clean it off a little bit and wipe it down as well. So I'm going to start with this. I'm also going to use a paper towel to kind of take out as much as I can with this. Now I'm going to put this back together. So, I'm going to take my gloves off for this because it's going to be a little bit harder. I need my fingers to be able to grab this, put this back on over top of this. And remember, when you do this, you got to hold that spring down. Hold it down. Slide it in. So now, the spring loaded like that. It's all the way in. It's nice. It's pretty easy to put in. There we go. That's back on. So this is going to go down in there. And this is going to go down over top, like that. Screw it back on. Be careful, this is a brass threaded screw and you don't want to strip it because then it's going to be useless. There we go. It's on. Perfect. Yep. Now this. Well, first of all, let's get this. Let's get this on. So this is that right there. It's going to go down that hole right there, just like that. Kind of see it go right in. There we go. And then you're going to slide the pin through that. In my case, I don't need needle nose pliers. I've seen some people, sometimes it gets tight and they need it. In my case, I don't. There we go. Then I'm going to put the O-ring back on. Get it in there. Get this on. Put this back on. You have to line this up properly so it's in the right spot. And also don't be careful not to lose the red little ring there, the red bushing, so that that will help keep it sealed. Just on. There we go. Screw that on. Use the socket. Here we go. Tightness. There we go. All right. Everything back together. Let's put this back on the snow thrower, and let's see if the surging ends, and let's see if it starts. Let's go ahead. Alright, so you guys might have noticed earlier in the video when I was trying to take the hose off of the carburetor that there was a gasket that fell off. I was outside, I landed on the tire, I looked back at the video, it's gone. I must have blown away. So here's the original one. There's two of them. One goes on the inside, one goes on the outside of the carburetor. Here's the one that goes on the inside. There it is, and then here is the replacement. I bought two replacements just because if I was replacing one, because I lost it, I had to order it, I bought two of them. I also found out that the Craftsman is made by MTD, so this is actually an MTD gasket. Let's go double check. Perfect, exact match. So I'm just going to replace this with two new gaskets. Put that on. There we go. Then put the carburetor on. Let's do this right. There we go. So I'm going to reattach the hose, reattach these two hooks and arms, reattach this back in here, and then put this cover back on, everything back together, and hopefully we'll be good to go. There we go. Okay, on. So now I'm gonna hook these two back on to the carburetor. There we go. There we go. And then this here is just going to hook onto the little hole right there. I need a little bit extra light. I know it's going to be hard to see. You won't be able to see it on the video, but I'll show you after the fact. There we go. Alright, that was a bit of a pain in the butt, but I got it. There we go. Okay. So now, here's the second gasket. Goes one way. Make sure you got it the same way as it originally was. There we go. It's on. Perfect. So now let's put this over top. Slide this down. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see. So this slides over top, right? Let's even do that. There we go. So this slides over top right here. And then you just align up the nuts with the holes with the thread. You're going to pull that out so it fits in. There we go. So now everything's in. Got the two gaskets in. I love that all the nuts are always 10 millimeters in this whole engine, which makes life a lot easier. You don't have to change the size of the socket or the wrench or anything that you're using to tighten these up. To show you, there is a flat hose here. If you squeeze it, it's just flat. And then there's a kind of one that's just circular, it's round and you can't squeeze it. So with the two clamps, this one's got a narrow opening here. So the flat hose is going to go into that one. This one's got a wider opening, and so the circular hose is going to go into that one. So you're going to know which ones to hook onto, like which hose to hook onto which clamps. So just remember that the fat round one is going to go to the top one, at least in this case. And the narrow opening flat one's going to go into that one. All right. I'll do the big one first. There's the big one, then the small one, flat one next. There it is, it's in there. So now put this in the middle. Probably should have done that first. And then there we go. So lesson learned here doing this. Got to be careful of the cords and the hoses, but this is sticking at the top, and I was just getting caught on the top of this. So as you're putting this in, you got to line that up and figure out there's enough room kind of for that to pop through there. So you kind of got to lift this side up a little bit. Make sure that this can pop in. It does. Notice there's two lengths of the nuts or the screws. The long ones go down here. The shorter ones go here. Put some gasoline in this and see what happens. Put it in the choke, pump it a couple times. I'm gonna pull start this. So I should have had the primer in the middle there when I went to go start it. I might have started on the first try, but you notice it's not surging anymore. It started up perfectly and it's running nicely, so there's the fix. hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned what things you should do. Hopefully you also learned things what you shouldn't do when you're trying to take apart, take the carburetor off of a snow thrower. If you liked what you saw, please hit subscribe down below and like the video, and let me know what content you want to see. Thank you so much. Take care. Until next time. Bye.